before chucks and face plates and all that sort of carry on, we went to glue blocks. This was a really nice piece of kauri here, and I marked out a bit of a circle, and then I thought to myself, well, I'll just show you a deeper bowl and turn a sort of a deeper bowl. And I thought, no, I want to get a bit more out of it. So then I just opened it out with the bandsaw and cut that out. Nice piece of swamp kauri, reasonable, just sort of a medium sort of little bowl. That's a form of bowl saving, isn't it? By cutting the piece open and getting 2 bits out of it, as opposed to one deeper bowl. So really all I want to point out to you is when you're doing glue blocks, say if you haven't got a chuck and you want to put a glue block on there, so you can take your piece of wood ready for tuning. So this is just a piece of sacrificial timber that you'll be screwing your faceplate to. Glue block, take your 80mm faceplate and then you then screw it down, obviously, onto the sacrificial piece of timber. I use the square drive screws mainly because the posi drive screws, like that posi drive screw there, will tend to slip a bit on your screwdriver, but the square drive screws, and you can shunt that faceplate down really well. So you can sort of set up, that will be your bowl. It can be, you know, you turn it round and away you go. There's the ability to make up smaller ones out of pieces of pipe and such. There's a couple of layers of custom board with another dedicated faceplate. If you're turning the tops off the edges of balls or cones, like what you had in your jig, Hayden, it will go straight up against the edge of that and won't mark it at all. So it'll just push on the side of that, and you can position the ball anywhere you like. Catch. So you can just put the ball and see how I've cut that orange liner that overhangs the inside edge? Yep. And you can just release the suction, move the ball, flick it around and hit the switch. There's another one there out of a piece of pipe. Purposely got the overhanging edges of that rubber there, so you can seat against and get a very good suction in a curve like that, because the rubber's bigger than the pipe. Don't forget to take the bag out of your vacuum cleaner. There are various apparatuses that you can get for doing the same thing, but there's a whole lot of fun actually in making up some of these apparatus things in the first place, isn't it, to suit your needs. And this is just a piece of custom board from Arthur's, like it's very, very doable. This is our little gadget again that I talked to you about before. I should have done this on a Saturday, really, to be fair. Have a bit more time. Okay, watch. So this is our woodworm screw. This is my pressure plate that I've made up with a woodworm screw in it, our 9mm hole, turned true with a piece of 240 grit sandpaper glued to it. This winds on to my little gadget there. Exactly true, you notice that? It's been on and off. This is called pressure plate between centres. It's for turning coasters. I've prepared them. I went around to Murray's and shot the timber through as thicknesser. So I opened up my bandsaw height there and ripped the timber through, and then took it a little bit thicker and then went around to Murray's and poked them through as thicknesser. Okay, so what you're talking about is the long lengths with all these circles, and I went home, cut all the circles out. So you'll see that there's no centre mark from any dividers I've made, and I didn't bring it unfortunately. It's just a piece of custom board with a little handle on it, and I shoot the pencil around it because I don't want a centre mark in there, which you'll see why in a minute. This is a live centre. It's a live centre. You can do it with a live centre system. This goes into here. Now in this particular case, this has a little drift to go down to tap this out. Then I take that out and I put those bits back into there. And if you look closely, I've seated this little wee piece into here and made up this pressure plate that now fits back into my live centre. Now you can see what's going to happen. Look at that. It's a holding method, right? And this is a 5mm medium density black foam on this little device that I've made there to fit onto the end of the live centre. I put that up to there and lock the tailstock and just press it against. You see how it's out of centre? See that? So then I just back that off, just move it across and put it into centre. Now I've got complete option to turn that coaster, to turn the edge round, and also to put a little bit of detail. I didn't bring a finished one, unfortunately. Should have done. 10mm gouge. So there's like sort of 1500 revs. I take my 10mm gouge, and then I'm just trimming the bandsaw marks out. This is another gadget that I've made here. This is once again a dedicated faceplate. I turned a tapered cone out of macrocarpa. Then I cut myself some 5mm thick rubber, and I made a whole lot of staves down that way there, parallel pieces, and glued them on. I just glued it down there, and a whole lot of, and then there's no wrinkles or anything like that, all the way round. And then I put one of Kieran's socks over the top, and I super glued it round by the faceplate. I've never taken that faceplate off. Leave it on there. Get it back round, push it up against there, and you'll feel it just seats up against there without any damage at all, reducing that spigot and getting some undercut in the base so that the thing will sit flat. Sometimes you just have to be a little bit out there and make your own apparatus. So once again, this is on a faceplate. And I've purely screwed some walls to the side to create two sides of a box. I've turned all this piece prior as a standard centre. If you look at the bowl without the box jig, it's a standard bowl on the back. Do you see it? It's a fairly standard sort of a bowl. But then you look at what I'm doing with it on the front. Okay? And it's held in between these two sides of this box by 4 nails. Can you see those 2 nails there? These are like brad nails. They're thin and they're quite long. It's seated down in between there, and it's nailed through there and there accurately, and on the other side. It's purely held in the box. It can't go anywhere. These walls are screwed with square drive screws underneath into here, the back of here. This is 20mm thick custom board with pencil marks here to get my centres on the diameter. Has anyone seen a box jig before? No. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can actually hold the thing around, and you can now, I've now got that centre out of centre in my original piece. Because I didn't want it in the middle, it'd be just too boring. And I've used a really rumpty piece of reclaimed kauri, but if you look closely, I've put a mottled kauri veneer on the top. Because most of this rest of this piece of the wood, particularly the inside, is going to be black. Because I want to really, to frame out there, I'm only using that piece of wood as a medium really, so I'm going to do a lot of burning and a lot of blackening and charcoaling of the rest of the host of the wood, and with the mottled piece on the top. The mottled piece is 2mm thick veneer.